Hello and welcome back to the course on Python programming. And today we're talking about matrices. And you might ask, Kirill, are matrices really that important that we have to devote a whole section of the course to this topic? And the answer is yes, because, or as you could already see from the previous tutorial, a lot of the world's data is stored in form of tables, and matrices is one of the ways to work with tables in Python. And moreover, as you'll see further from the course, we'll be working with data frames, and matrices are a great stepping stone towards data frames. So let's get started and understand how matrices work in Python. Here at the top, we have not so much a matrix, not yet. This is just a list, so we're already familiar with lists. Just a simple list in Python, and it's got one dimension, and therefore that one indexation 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our indexation. As we could see from the previous tutorial, tables actually have a second dimension. And what happens then? So what does a table look like? In this case, for instance, it's a 5x3 table with, or 3x5 table with 3 rows and 5 columns. And let's say it's populated with the number 50 in every single cell. Well, in this case, we need another set of indexation to help us with the other dimension. It's very similar to what we learned about lists. It's just that it has 2 dimensions. Inevitably, we're going to run into a problem. And the problem is, how do we do indexation in a 2-dimensional object? For example, we have this table over here, or this matrix. And how do we get to, and let's say this matrix is called A, how do we get to this number 0 in our matrix? Well, we could try things that we know about lists already, right? So we could say, how about A number 3? Assuming that this is our third column, so trying to access the element through the third column. But then we don't know which element it is. We can't just tell from there. It's still ambiguous which element we're trying to access. Or we could say, so that doesn't work, or we could say A2, for instance, to signify that this is the second row. But again, just from this notation, we can't really tell whether we're talking about the second row or the second column. And if we're talking about either, then which element inside are we referring to? So the correct approach here would be A2, 3. A, and then in the square brackets we have 2 and 3, and 2 represents that we are looking at the second row, 3 represents this third column, where indexation starts at 0. So it's always like that. The first digit represents, or first number represents the row, and the second one represents the column. That is also why in Python you can reference the individual rows in this following fashion. So if you say A0, colon, where the colon just means everything basically in that row, so no limitation, what you'll get, so in this case you will get that top row. And same thing for the columns, we can just put this nominal notation here, and so if you say A square brackets colon comma 4, which column are you going to get? That's correct, you're going to get the last column over here. So that is how you can index whole rows and columns, and if you want individual elements, then that is the approach to go. So we'll be working with this a bit more throughout this course. It'll be coming up quite a bit, and we'll get used to this type of indexation with time. Hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy coding.